I'm going to start with a video of Telescope Highway, my supernatural odyssey. So it'll be a short video, and then I'll read from the last chapter of my book. This book is newly out from Spite and Dival. It's really a collaboration between the spirit Menipus and myself. The human Menipus was a Greek philosopher from 300 BC, and none of his work remains, only the titles. So I'm going to begin with a video clip.
Angels swept past the ark in search of distant thunder. Hercules fell backwards before meeting his maker. For among the wrinkles of time there dwelt a golden princess who eclipsed the sun. Somewhere inside the district was a narrow escape, and inside the escape was a narrower escape. Inside that lingering fear. Whistleblowers caught the time-lapse train to nowhere, and Armageddon informants turned gelatinous before the miniature Machiavellians. Mollusks fly out of ears and leap towards the horizon, fulfilling the ancient prophecy. They think the alternate universe is out to get them for no apparent reason. Perhaps the vortex missed the boat to Bethlehem. Believe in a 6,000-year-old chewable world. Detained at the border of catastrophe, our heroine seeks immensity's doppelganger, carrying only hyphenated spears. She locates a subterranean vestibule before bidding farewell. With record temperatures from arid cliffs, she motions for a winged saint to descend and hand over the goods. Clouds of diaphanous wings descend on Telescope Highway for the missile launch countdown. She dreams of symbols projected on transparent screens. They reveal a future where cyborgs can utilize kryptonite materialization prototypes to evade Heisenberg motion detectors. Twinkle, ambivalent atom, twinkle on demand. Like a stack of cards, once folded and then forgotten, a deck without a suit to wear, clothed in finery before all the gods. Having fallen into the river of soot, they float around before stepping on shore. The old tales say that in a twilight hour the werewolf wheels took wing. Ectoplasm enveloped the vernacular. Through darkened time tunnel detours, the backwards clock rang the bell home. Instant recall reminded the raven of the invisible web we locate ourselves in. But it's not forever where the dark increments are stored. In the extinct pathways of yore, there was a man swelled by the precariousness he perceived in the ether around him. He sought worldwide recognition, but without an inkling as to how, mistaking his identity for a wagon followed by a horse. Paranoids tinfoil the multitudes and carry them over the dell. A voice warns, never enter the merry-go-round backwards when anticipating a menacing storm. Change was forever as Mercury slides a triple cartwheel, archway to the celestial afterwards. Time is a slippery, silvery serpent this Tinseltown minute. Space is a perpendicular appointment with destiny, and destiny is what remains outside the door, waiting to be delivered.
Now I'll read from Aftermath, the last chapter. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. The future will contain all the filaments of the past. Robots will insist on inclusion. Our minds will jellify like thoughts in a curtain call implosion. Now the folds of time unfold to the present. She comes home and proffers a jar of traditional substance into a jar of traditional meaning. Just the intimation of fluidity could result in a crease in magnetic time, but to distance oneself from that octopus requires Byzantine reflection and not wholly suited to the wrinkles of the hours and minutes we create to appease the god of reason. Erebus, lord of the underworld, mixes the heart and measures the mind's elemental ethers. Miniature metropolis within his hand wishes for a misbegotten future world. Archaic molds of withering leaves recalled whenever the flies come home. And once recalled, a window opens to the waiting room dream. The precipice dissolves into sugar cubes of thought in time for the ethereal mission. A figure would sit on the world of tomorrow without blinking an eye. It doesn't know its sequel, dissolving before the stone gods it aspires to reproduce. A warlock imagines himself in a golden wedding gown. He harbors illusions of an eternal sun before the approaching storm. Reticence never becomes the flower, and the misanthrope will never rescue the fly from the batter. Soldiers are preparedness in disguise, embarking to obliterate the past, never to go home again. Battleships return for mental winter while rats leaving the ship are grateful for an opportunity to shine. They amass a fortunate weapon without the tourniquet of responsibility. Hegemony mixes with heresy to reveal a corpse of exquisite rationality. The many fragments of its garment's refractions dissolving in microbic mystery before disappearing into structural hysteria like a hamster weary of its wheel. Hours reflect backwards in the hourglass of absence, as in a mirror's parallel recollection. If the minute recalls the messenger, it doesn't tell, and if a crumb in time won't dissolve, it's likely late for a previous engagement. Photo finish the offspring before the enveloping tide. Forget the mission and forget the tide. Exhale the finite glow of our forgotten planet. If only we had a parachute of elastic carbon to forestall its demise. To be without a backdrop when there's no curtain, that's the imitation. Too elusive to be apprehended by pursuing parables, and forestalled by that very wicket we tripped over to begin with. We are back at the start with only a cart and a wheel. An inkling, a painted kaleidoscope background, identities changing with each generation. Quick, an upset. There is no costume to contain all the karma. Initiate a frozen setting. What are we waiting for? The masters are all asleep now. I've asked Manipus to explain his reality to me. He always responds in a cryptic and circular way, referring to himself as we, part of a group of entities. None of his writing remains, only the titles. Letters artificially composed as if by the gods and necromancy. I'll read a few of his statements about his world. It is far beneath the surface of our world that you inhabit. To close the gap between your world and ours, we reach out to reveal a different dimension that floats above your shoreline but adheres to a similar schedule. We are bound by a circular bridge which hides its meaning in a causeway to the other side. We prefer the poetry of clouds and rehearse the absence of doubt. We are destined to forget where we came from and follow the path that leads down the page we are sworn to protect. We have devised a story which sticks to the sides of all who hear it. We are crucibles for meandering reflection. I placed myself before you in hopes of defining myself. The times before return to the times after, rocking slowly in the incoming tide. They circumscribe a message that begins with a question. Who are we here for? We exist precariously between one world and the next. We are not jokers in an eternal epigram. The age of Pan has come to an end, but we go forward. We may not coordinate our entrails, but we can find our way around. There is always another forager living among the ruins. The doorway to the unknown swings both ways when the archetypal characters are strewn about. We contend with stray thoughts that coagulate below the surface of your dreams. We pour our purpose into a bucket and relay our secrets mechanically by mouth and ear. I mistook a glowworm for a merry-go-round, an emblematic charisma for a jar of leaden sophistry. The spider climbs the deck in search of food. We climb the ladder in search of absence. We recede because we wish to dissolve into the ether. The past reflects the present in that it persists beyond our expectation of it. The lesson we have learned is never foretell the future before having stopped there. We are not destined to become the gatekeepers of the apocalypse. We forbear and recede into the depths of history. The outcome fades to dust when the hour returns our favor. The afterglow of success rides a golden calf to the forefront of our concerns. We dealt our hand in glowing, ghostly semaphores, which held a secret to be shared accordingly. We are not razor blades on the edge of existence. We regale with studious hats that prevaricate between life and death. When all else fails, we find ourselves inside a golden globe and red orb and ready for takeoff. It was never foretold that we would perish from the earth like beetles in the wind. We are made of spirit and can no longer climb the mountain heights. It is said we are passengers on a train that never stops. Whistle for the many departed from earth. So is there more time, or should we end it there, Phil?
We have more time.
Okay. Next, I'm going to read a few excerpts from my first book, Earth After Earth, published by Lunar Chandelier Press. In a remote area, modulators are singing slowly before disappearing into starlit lounges. The growers are tiny hands that weave in space. The acrobatics of their patterns is on automatic, variations on the same theme, strands twisting through space, incorporating the various runes. A thread reaches out, seeking a place to latch onto, twisting precariously over a miniature hearth. The earth is a golden ball of substance with no plan for the future. They have devised a story to feed the empty minds. It's filled with the fairy tales of the super rich and how we need their guidance to fuel our visions and clone ourselves into super cute characters with no eyes and 10 bouncy breasts. Authoritarianism is to donuts what shiny new car is to mental safe deposit box. The curtains are hiding an element of disease. They lost their locks to the inner reason. The ancient opinions still hold up inside the glass bottle world because the outside world is an indicator pointed in all the same directions. The dome is an attractive pose for our instant hero. He has the multitudes on his bus. He's knitting a mask for the open minds. The man is on open stairways. He looks behind him for the erotic flashlight's descent. The eastern wall has a message so large, only a planet could contain it. All the floating minds recycle themselves into categories of attainment, the outer reaches often discouraged by pirate ships. Couples are promenading along a radioactive boulevard. We are mint editions of our own beehive. The serenaders have 8 legs and a reasonable vocation, spinning their webs into outer space. A sheet falls over the outer world, a case inside the case, arranged in wheel tones. Recall is based on its terraced organs. Derelict empress, she drinks a toast to draining the memory bucket. A tropical spell on their razor-sharp Egyptian links. A tree can't be dismissed like a jet plane. It has arms and a leg to see across the expansion. Hardly can we see the golden tower before its waving flags bring it down around our knees. Knots are invisible hooks we adjust with our hearts. They contain lead to weight us to earth. Invisible magnetic filings gravitate through us like rainbows. They subside with the dawn. The end. Thank you. Thank you very much.